Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final episode of the Men in Orange and Black for this season. Gotcha. With my good buddy, Steve, who is right over there. I am Matt. I am right here. We are happy you're with us. In this final episode of the year, Steve, are you sad that it's the final episode of this season?
No, because this chair hurts my back.
Oh. So you're in pain.
I'm sad that the...
Yeah.
But am I sad the season's over? It's kind of a relief at this point.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Given the way things were going.
Yeah.
It's time to regroup and go up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking around here. I'm looking over my shoulder. I don't see the Flyers are in the first round of the playoffs there, bud. Of course, I think we all knew that at the beginning part of the year. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you certainly knew that this was not going to be a playoff year, even though we were hoping that maybe they would take a step forward. They obviously did not. And they actually took a step back. And it was all John Tortorella's fault. So, John, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. No, kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what got me? Michkov did his exit, press conference.
Yeah.
And they were asking him about, Tortorella. And he's like, he gave an answer, and he's like, yeah, I learned a lot from him. He's one of the better coaches I've had. One of the best coaches I've had. I'm like, And all those people who were like, oh man, Torts is going to run Michkov out of town.
Yeah.
Like, do you even know what a Russian coach is like?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Torts is tame compared to what goes on over there.
Oh yeah.
Like seriously, he had to put up, I'm sure, with way worse shit in Russia.
Oh yeah.
So don't even get me started.
Yeah,
but I digress.
Including the daily whippings. So I'm sure he's really happy with the fact that he doesn't have to go through that anymore. No, okay. No, you're right. I mean, he was more of a disciplinarian more than anything else, I think, in his career. Certainly seemed that way. But at the same time, as much as I hated for him to go, I think he was tired of losing. I really do believe that. And I think he was just fed up with the fact that, okay, I'm in the youth movement here. I'm not getting this thing. You're not getting to the playoffs anytime soon. I'm 65, 66 years old. I don't know how much longer I've got. And, we keep going back to what he said in Toronto. And I think that was pretty much it. It wasn't necessarily the fact that he had it with his players. I think there was part of that, but he's older. He was an older guy, and he wanted to win. And unfortunately, that just wasn't the case for him. And so we move on without Tortorella, and it'll be interesting to see where the Flyers go. Of course, we'll cover that in the third period, where we give our very humble and yet expert opinion on whether or not what the Flyers are going to do. We'll see. But, of course, in the first period, we're going to go over the last 5 games that amounted to, well, nothing. But, Steve, we start off, if we had to drag somebody down to not going into the playoffs, it might as well be the Rangers. And, oh, my goodness, did they drag them down to hell. It was absolutely wonderful. It really cost Peter Laviolette his job. 8-5 in Madison Square Garden, which, again, no one saw that coming at all.
I don't know that particular game cost him his job.
Yeah.
Everything that went on this year certainly cost him his job.
It certainly did. It was definitely a 1% contributing factor, though. I will argue that. 6 goals.
Oh, it didn't help, for sure.
It certainly did not. No. 6 goals in the third period by the Flyers, including my boy, who was on fire in the last 5 games, even though it didn't matter. He was still on fire with a hat trick, I believe first of his career, if I'm not mistaken. 3 goals out of him.
That's right.
Yeah. Noah Cates with 2 assists, had a terrific night, despite the fact that Mika Zibanejad had 4 assists in the game. It did not matter. Jonathan Quick, he was not. He was Jonathan Slow, was in net. Rather showing his age. But yeah, 6 goals in the third period, despite the fact
that goal by Couturier.
Who showed up here?
I don't know what the hell he was doing. Quick. Like, what the hell was that?
Right, right. I mean, Jonathan Quick, I remember him, fondly going all the way back to when he won the Cups for the Kings. But that was like 14, 15 years ago. He is not the same. And the fact that they were putting him in there as a backup to Shesterkin, I mean, makes me wonder.
Well, he had a good season.
He did.
That game, he was just piss poor.
Yeah, it was just really bad. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what did you think of this amazing game here? I mean, it was 6-4 at one point. Rangers got to within 6-5. We added 2 empty netters at the end of the game. In the last minute when it was 6-5. So it was 1980s hockey.
It was a hell of a shot by Tippett on the empty net to go bar down from his own zone. That was quite impressive.
That was pretty good.
But this game was just sloppy.
Yeah.
Ugly and hideous.
It's 80s hockey.
I enjoyed it because it was 80s hockey.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it because we won, but
heck yeah.
And it cost the Rangers effectively. I mean, they still had a 1 point, what do you call it, magic number, but it effectively cost them the playoff shot.
Oh, it most certainly did. Yeah.
I certainly, absolutely enjoyed it. But may I say, because he was on the broadcast, congratulations to Sam Rosen for a tremendous career.
There you go.
And it was nice to hear John Davidson because I haven't heard him in forever.
Yeah.
Good to hear him with Sam Rosen. But I feel bad for Rosen that the team just took a shit on his swan song season.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like as he's getting up there in age, and his final season, he's got to stumble over names like Shesterkin and Zibanejad and Kokovainen or whatever the dude's name was. Like, his teeth are going to fall out. I mean, God, you couldn't give him Smiths and Joneses? Good Lord.
None of that stuff, no. I mean,
Shesterkin.
Yeah, and Zibanejad and Panarin and all those. I mean, my goodness, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, that really definitely helped to contribute the Rangers not making the playoffs. And another team that we also affected not going to the playoffs was the New York Islanders. Very next game, we beat them in a shootout.
That one did knock them out.
That one officially did knock them out. Exactly. Forrester coming back with this one. Final was 4-3 in a shootout win. Took them 5 rounds to get there. Forrester, again, first star of the game, 2 goals again. So he has the hat trick against the Rangers. He comes back with a 2-goal effort against the Islanders. Pelletier scored as well.
Pelletier.
Thank you.
Pelletier.
Bobby Brink with the shootout winner. Despite the fact the Flyers were outshot 40-22 in the game, the Flyers come away with the win, Steve. And that's always good to beat the New York Islanders. I've never really knocked them out of the playoffs.
I hate them.
Absolutely.
I hate them.
Yeah.
I hate Anders Lee. Need to punch him in the face.
Anders Lee with a goal and assist, by the way, in that game.
Yeah, I know. That's why I need to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
He lucks into these things.
Yeah. Sam Ersson
with
a 37 save effort, despite the fact that they gave up 40 shots. It's not bad. 37 saves.
Yeah, but this is the pattern that developed over these last few games of like, where's the defense?
I'm looking for it.
I mean, look.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you're tired and/or you lose interest. Defense is always the first thing to go because it's effort and structure. And when you're tired or don't care, those are the first things that you're like, screw it. I'm going up ice. I'm going to score a goal. So while the offensive explosion was nice these last few games, let's remember to play defense when next year starts, boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying, like,
let's go back to that defensive structure a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You then have Ottawa the very next night, and there, unfortunately, you come away with an overtime loss, 4-3 the Senators, who are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. And I love TSN. TSN is just like, Ottawa, even though they've beaten them 3 straight times, you got to throw out those records. I'm thinking to myself, they are so in love with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I hope they lose again. I really do. I hope Ottawa wins. In this game. This one, though, 4-3, Garnet Hathaway coming back, goal and assist. That's nice. Noah Cates, his 16th of the year. But in overtime on the power play, and that power play was brutal to watch because it was like you had a broken stick, and you had two players on defense. I think Sealer was out there. There was somebody else out there, and they were just sucking wind, trying to get.
One of them was hurt. I think got a
I think Sealer got shot at twice. Yeah. And so
I have a real problem with that penalty call, though.
Okay.
That penalty call was bogus.
Yeah.
And if we had been in a playoff race or something, I'm sure this would have gotten talked about. But because we aren't, nobody cared.
Yeah.
But that penalty call was so weak. Sanheim was standing there, and Forster skated around him, and the defender skated right into Sanheim. Sanheim is entitled to his space.
Yeah.
As long as think NBA, right? Not a moving screen. As long as you're just standing there, you're allowed to stand there.
Yeah.
And Forster can use you as a pylon.
Yeah.
To go around.
Yeah.
It's not Sanheim's fault that the dude can't look up and runs right into him.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on. That penalty was bogus.
Yeah. There was also an embellishment penalty against Matvei Michkov. I'm just reading this now. Against Michael Amadio. 2-minute minor for cross-check. So he cross-checks Michkov. Michkov probably falls over backwards, I guess.
I saw it. He cross-checked him in the back as they were going to the wall. Michkov fell into the referee. I don't know how the referee...
Oh, and the referee called that for an embellishment?
The referee called it, yeah. Give me a break.
That's just unbelievable. It's unreal.
Have some above-the-border cooking, if you have.
Well, it has been, I think, last I checked, 1993. So that is 32 years the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. And again, TSN, I keep going back to them. Like I was listening to them on the way home from visiting the parents this afternoon, Steve. They were like, this is our chance. We're due. We're due to have the cup north of the border. And I'm thinking to myself, keep talking, pal. It's just like, that's all you do is just run your mouth. You're just hoping and hoping and hoping. Didn't quite work out.
Winnipeg's your best shot.
Yeah. Look out.
We know their track record.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. One of them, I think someone said that they were going to have a Winnipeg-Toronto Stanley Cup final, which I was like, no, that's not going to happen. That would be an absolute nightmare. That would be a world coming to an end kind of thing. No question about that. This is not Calgary-Montreal of 89. I just want to put that out there. That was an amazing series. Canada will never have that again. Never. Just saying it right now. Never.
Let the hate flow through you.
Yes, exactly. Final home game of the year against Columbus. Unfortunately, a bit of a dud. Columbus was right in the thick of it in the midst of the playoff race, but a 3-0 shutout loss. Jet Greaves somehow, with a shutout win against us. I mean, he was playing amazing hockey, for what I understand.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, they go 1 for 2 on the power play. We're 0 for 3. Not much to say of, but Columbus did not make the playoffs after Montreal the very next night, I believe, beat, who was it?
The
Carolina Hurricanes.
They're quadruple A squad.
They're quadruple A squad, yeah. so they ended up making the final, which I was happy about. It was like, that's nice to have Montreal in there. They're going to get their ass whipped against Washington, but yeah, I mean, the Columbus chain was still going by the time we were going through. I thought they were going to be long gone, but no, they fought tooth and nail. Give them a lot of credit for that. But unfortunately, shutout loss there, Steve, at the last home game, which is not exactly ideal to be shut out at home.
Yeah, that was kind of ugly. I know the Tank fans love it. And
the Tankathon. Yeah.
Which I'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was not the best way to end it. Would have liked to see some kind of goal scoring.
A little bit better effort there. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think the effort was missing. I just think Jet Greaves goalied him.
Yeah. Yeah, which has happened before. I mean, we've had long streaks, this season where we haven't scored a goal. Mm-hmm. That kind of a deal. Yeah. So, and that's what's going to happen with a young team sometimes. The final game of the year, unfortunately for me, ended on a down note, even though despite the fact that the Flyers kept fighting, it was 4-3 at the end of this game, or in the third period of this game. They end up losing to Buffalo 5-4, which
this shall henceforth be known as the referee balls game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Put that video on.
Yeah, I gotta find that, right? Put that on there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, and if Matt can't find it,
Yeah.
Pass across the slot to a Buffalo player
Hmm.
who's got a wide open net because Kolosov is trying desperately to get
Flopping.
back.
Yeah.
Wide open net. He shoots 10 feet back the wrong way, missing the net, hits the referee right in the balls.
Oh God, I gotta find that. Yeah. I gotta find that video. Yeah, I'll put that. See if I can find that and put that up there.
But anyway,
yeah, a little bit of a downer, but I mean, at the same time,
they hung
Michkov with 2 goals. Michkov to end the year, 2 goals.
Yep.
Not too bad. He ends his rookie season leading the Flyers in goals scored, which I would have not called, to be perfectly honest. And we will get to that, obviously, when we go through our letter grades by position, by each individual player, I should say. So that ends the season. Steve, as you have up here, we'll transition now to our final regular season stats.
I don't get asked about the game, not just the ref balls.
Flyers Buffalo. I mean, what do you want? Okay, go ahead.
Well,
what are your thoughts before we transition? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So the tank people.
Oh, yeah.
Irritating me again. Didn't want Brad Shaw to challenge the goaltender interference on that goal in the third period. Like, seriously?
What are we doing?
I mean,
what are we doing here?
If it's a close call and you're like, you know what, draft position, it's too close. We're probably not going to win it. We're going to get a penalty. Okay, I can understand that. This was blatant. The dude jumped into Kolosov and knocked his glove off.
Yeah.
Before the puck went in the net. The team is comprised of human beings.
Yes.
Whose sole purpose in life is to win hockey games.
Yeah, they're paid to win.
You don't handcuff them by having your head coach say, screw it, we want a better draft position. We're not going to challenge that blatantly improper goal. Like, come on.
Well, and I also love this too. It's like some of them. It's like there's been some heat on Briere to kind of kickstart this rebuild, like in the high gear. So it's like, so what do you want? Do you want to kick it in the high gear by getting a player, or do you want a high draft pick? I'm trying to figure out what people want here in the Flyers fandom. I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, I think the whole thing. They could finish 4th or they could finish 7th. I'm like, you know what?
What's the difference?
It's not. I'm going to say this. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
It's not where you pick. It's how you use the pick.
Yeah.
For God's sake, we got Michkov at 7.
Yeah.
We got Nolan Patrick at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Nolan Patrick was.
We had 2, and Nolan Patrick was shite.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I don't care if he was consensus. We didn't use the pick.
That was
hindsight, the way it should have been used.
And I like to.
We got Michkov at 7. That's our future superstar here.
I like to also point out this too. Nolan Patrick was a Chuck Fletcher pick. So anybody out?
No.
Or was that a Hextall? That was Hextall.
Yep, that was a Hextall.
So he screwed us over, the bastard.
Yes.
In any case, both of those two guys royally screwed us over. And now we have now a semblance of some roster now that's coming to fruition, which is really good in that regard. Now, let's transition over to our final stats here. As we take a look at this, we end with a 500 record at home, which I'm not going to sneeze at. I mean, it's like, okay, 500.
No.
Hockey 500, but the away record was the worst part about it, only winning 13 of 41 games on the road. That ain't going to get it done at all. We're 24th in goals scored, as I see there, and 28th in goals allowed. The goals scored, I could understand. 24th, you have a young team, you're trying to figure your way in. The goals allowed is unacceptable, and we're going to get to that in the second period when we go over our grades. But, Steve, your thoughts on ending a 76-point season for the Flyers here in 24-25?
It's a step back, which is not ideal, but when we get to the third period, I'll give you my thoughts on what I think the primary contributors to that were.
Okay. Looking forward to that.
Because I don't think it's as dire as it would seem from just raw numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely not. I mean, we did not expect them to make the playoffs.
Right.
But I think we hoped for a progression upon last season, not sort of this backwards step. But, as I've learned with injuries, increases aren't always linear. Sometimes they go like this. They squiggle.
Yeah.
And, so as Danny put it, when he let go of Torts, hopefully this is rock bottom and brighter things to come.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would tend to agree with Danny on that. I think probably the 7-2 loss in Toronto was rock bottom for the organization, because you could see coming out of there, Bradshaw had them kind of more loose, and it's like, okay, let's unlock your potential. Let's see what you guys can do. And they responded for the most part offensively. Goals were going in, which I don't think would have happened under John Tortorella.
I don't know about that.
Okay. That's your humble opinion. I know.
I'm not sure the goal explosion is attributable to the coaching change as much as it is, one, you started playing crappy teams, because all the way leading up to Torts getting fired, aside from Chicago, you were playing like Dallas and Winnipeg and Toronto and big time teams.
So you had Montreal, Buffalo, Nashville at home, and then you have Montreal on the road, Rangers on the road, Islanders, Ottawa, Columbus, and Buffalo to finish the year.
Yeah, that's a much weaker schedule and a much.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to wait for forever between games in this little stretch here. Like, we went, I think, 4 days without a Flyers game. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Because we were used to bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
They played 15 games in 28 days in March.
Yeah. Every other day.
Mm-hmm. So the goal scoring, I think you can contribute to not just the coaching change. It might have had some impact, but
could be the compressed schedule.
You were playing crappy teams. Jonathan Quick looked like a decrepit piece of crap. You were playing bad goalies.
Yeah.
We stopped playing defense.
Yeah. Let's go 80s hockey. Let's bring it all back, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But yeah, I mean, okay, so I would tend to agree with you on that. I think the factor of the schedule had a lot to do with it, and the quality of the opponent you were playing. I think that was definitely a contributing factor for sure. But again, goals allowed, I think, was a contributing factor, obviously, to losing record. You give up the 28 out of 32 teams in goals allowed, you're not going to win, period. And then the lack of offense, you could see, also resulted in another subpar power play, even though we ended up with a plus heading at the end of the year. We still end at 15%. Now, that's better than 12.
That plus 0.1 is just from last episode. That's not a difference of seasons or whatever.
Exactly.
From last episode, they bumped up 0.1%.
Yeah. But we're at 14.95, rounding up 15. Now, last year, we were at 12.
Yeah.
So we improved by 3%. I guess that's adjusted for inflation. I guess. I don't know. And I guess in Biden's economy.
I don't know. In the inflation, the way things are going these days, it's lagging.
Maybe it's stagflation. Who knows?
But it's not. It's an improvement in quotes.
Yeah.
But it's still not good enough.
It's still not good enough.
It absolutely has to be better.
That has to be better. No question about that.
And the penalty kill finished below average as well. That doesn't help matters either.
Yeah. And again, 1 out of 4. I look at those penalty kill numbers, 77%. You could translate that. That's like that's almost 1 in 4. So per game, which is not good. That's not good enough defensively. You want your penalty kill to probably be, well, definitely in your 80s to 90s. So they still have a long way to go there to improve that. I think we were known for 90. We're close to like an 85, 90% penalty kill, like back in the Lindros era, if I remember right. I mean, they would not score on us on the penalty kill.
Back then, games all ended 1-0.
That's true. That's very true. A lot of clutching and grabbing going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are your final stats there for the Flyers. Let's go ahead and change the slide here. What do you got, Mr. Murray? Ooh.
Oh, yeah. So.
Yeah, we're talking about Michkov here.
Yeah. So remember in the very first episode, we were like, hey, here's some people whose names we've heard mentioned as, what Michkov is the equivalent to coming to us. And we're like, well, he's not Eric Lindros. Let's be careful. But we're like, he's the most heralded player since Lindros.
Yep.
There were comparisons to his game to Kucherov and Malkin and Panarin by legitimate experts, not us. We pulled this from scouting report.
Yeah.
So back at the time, we're like, well, how did they all do in their rookie seasons? Well, now we have Michkov's rookie season and his numbers, and not too shabby.
Not too bad. Me. I think we were both hoping for him to be in the 60s, and our hopes were 100% on the money there, bud. I mean, 26 goals to lead the team, and then 63 points. I believe he is the first Flyer. I'll have to pull this up here. It has his biography.
He's definitely the highest scoring rookie since Renberg.
For sure. First Flyers player aged 20 or younger to record a 50-point season since Simone Gagne in 2000-2001, where he had 54 points in 61 games that year, and stole your wife's heart. How about that?
Bastard.
Yeah. He led the NHL rookies in overtime goals, 3 of them. Right.
He led rookies in goals.
Yeah. Period. He led rookies in goals, period. Tied for first in goals, power play goals, third in assists, points, and power play points. So there you go. He had a terrific rookie campaign. And it clearly shows here.
Yeah, he outdid Kucherov.
Oh, by far. Yeah. Yeah.
Lindros had 40 goals. He was a freak.
Yeah.
But, you look at Malkin and Panarin.
Right on par with
a little better.
Yeah.
Close. And you got to remember, Panarin was coming on to that Chicago Blackhawks team that had Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves and those guys. Malkin obviously had Crosby to work with and some other stars that were in Pittsburgh at the time. So, and Michkov didn't have a ton to work with. So,
yeah.
And if we had a halfway decent power play, you could see a bump in those numbers as well. I mean, I guarantee you there were some good power play numbers in those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much for Medvedev.
Not so much, no. But still, solid rookie year.
Good.
Very good,
year, This is good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Not for freakish Lane Hudson.
So what do you think?
For the Calder?
I was just going to say, do you think Hudson wins the Calder, or is this a Michkov win for that?
He's going to win it.
Yeah, I think Hudson will probably win it, right? I mean, that's
he had a historic season for a defenseman.
Put the team in the playoffs.
Playoffs, yeah. I mean, ultimately, is he going to turn out to just be another Shane Gostisbehere? I don't know.
I never know.
I don't know. I don't really like his defensive game as a defenseman, but he's probably earned it. This is Teemu Selanne scoring 72 goals in Eric Lindros' rookie year. That's
yeah.
We're just never going to have a Calder winner in this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, which bums me out. What else do you have here as we move on?
That's it.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Well,
that's it.
That's our first period. We'll be back soon.
Balls.
Just don't take a puck off them. Here we are, second period. Men in orange and black. And Steve, as we look ahead here, before we give our grades of the roster and everything, I thought I would share with you the team awards for the Flyers that were announced at the Columbus game, last home game of the year. Travis Konechny getting the Bobby Clark Trophy, the most valuable player on the team. Second consecutive win for him. 75 points, which I believe, or 76, which was a career high for him. Finished the year 24 goals and 52 assists in 82 games. Played all of them, basically. Hit the 70-point mark, first time in his career. what do you think of Travis winning back-to-back Bobby Clark trophies?
Good for him. He is deserving of that award.
Yeah, I would say. Sanheim, Travis Sanheim getting the Barry Ashby Award for the most outstanding defenseman. Also, second consecutive year, Sanheim has received the award. Tied for 8th in the National Hockey League with 50 takeaways. He was 11th in block shots this year with 169 blocks. Ow, that just sounds very hurty. 12th in time on ice by average. He was averaging about 24 minutes per game. He finished, Sanheim, 8 goals, 22 assists for 30 points. He was a -6 in his season. I thought he had a pretty decent season, I think, as the most outstanding.
Overall, you would say he was the best defenseman.
Probably the most consistent, right? I would say,
yeah. I don't know about that, but he was the best of the group.
I'll have to ask you.
Risto was well for a little while, but he was not consistent enough.
Yeah. Either. I was just going to say, like, maybe with Risto, he also got hurt towards the end of the year, too, which was like, ugh. Yeah. Should shout out him. For Travis, he also played in his 500th NHL hockey game in Edmonton way back in October, which I didn't realize until just now.
Shame.
Yes. Bobby Brink is the Pelle Lindbergh Memorial Trophy Award winner. That is the most improved player on the team. First time he had been selected by his teammates for that award. He entered or finished the year 12 goals, 29 assists for 41 points. That's outstanding out of Bobby Brink. 79 games, -11. He had a career high in ice time in Tampa, March 17th, 21 minutes. He tallied his second career multi-goal game in a 3-point night against Tampa Bay, March 13th, 2 goals and an assist. He had a 4-point game against Pittsburgh, February 25th. That was the one where they absolutely destroyed them, which was fantastic. Yes. Bobby Brink, 23 years old, gets the most improved player. Steve, 40-pointer on the season. I would not disagree with Bobby Brink here.
I can't think of anyone else on the roster who you could say was more improved than he was from last season.
He was solid. He had a great line with Cates and Forrester the entire year.
Yeah, they were good.
They were really, really good. I think it was a great pick there. Yannick Dupree Class Guy Memorial Award, which is given by the Philadelphia chapter of the Professional Hockey Writers Association, or PUA, selected Travis Sanheim to be the Yannick Dupree Class Guy Memorial Award. This award is annually presented to the Flyer who best illustrates character, dignity, and respect for hockey, both on and off the ice. One thing I did not know, Yannick Dupree, of course, died August of 1997 at the age of 24 after a 16-month battle with leukemia. So they gave him this posthumously, obviously, and huge award that. Dupree played parts of 3 seasons with the Flyers, 91-92, 94-95, 95-96. So right in the meat of that Lindros era. He had, in 35 games, recorded 2 goals and 16 penalty minutes. And he was a third-round pick. So Sanheim gets the award for the Class Guy Memorial Award. There you go there.
I don't know him off the ice. So
I don't know him either. Yeah.
The writers would know better than I. They deal with him on a daily basis.
That's right. That's right. Gene Hart Memorial Award goes to Noah Cates. Award is given to the player who demonstrated the most heart during the season.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have Noah Cates +3 on the year. That's fantastic. 78 games. He's a +3. 16 goals, 21 assists, and 37 points on the year. I think that is very deserving. Noah Cates had a fantastic year. Of course, that I think paired with Brink and Forrester, they had a tremendous year, that line altogether. And Hathaway gets the Flyers Alumni Community Leadership Award. Flyer who best demonstrates outstanding leadership on and off the ice, as well as a significant contribution to the community.
He, I think he had the most eye-opening end-of-season press conference. He was like waxing philosophical, and he seems like a very, very deep thinker. that Garnet Hathaway, and I enjoy having him on the team, and good for him for getting that award.
I hated him when he was playing for Boston. I love him as a Flyer.
Who doesn't hate people who play
right? I mean, no, but I mean, there was a difference. I think you were right. You said it, Steve, on a couple of podcast episodes ago, where Garnet was out of the lineup when he got cheap shotted by a Pittsburgh player, and March, it kind of began their swoon. They lost their grit, they lost their toughness a little bit with him not being there, and that really hurt the team, I think, at the end in March for sure. But yeah, great to see Hathaway getting that award for sure. And then the Toyota Cup, which is the Flyer who accumulates the most points associated with being selected as a star of the game, goes to Matvei Michkov. He was selected as the first star 7 times, second star 4 times, and the third star 4 times for a total of 51 points. You get 5 points for being the first star of the game, 3 points for being second star, and then 1 point for being the third star. So
we can't debate that award because that's just math.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. So he gets the Toyota Cup. So I guess he gets it. What? He gets a Toyota, maybe like a car with it has like a little cup on it or something like that. I don't know. But good on him. Congratulations to him. So those are the award winners, Steve. What are your thoughts again overall there? Some pretty good selections, I thought, overall.
I think they're all correct.
Yeah.
I don't think you can vote really any other way.
I like Brink being the most improved. That's really encouraging.
Yeah, I think that's definitely encouraging because we coming into the season we were kind of like, what is he? Yeah. And I think he really did find a home on that line with Cates, of course.
Yeah, no doubt.
Good to see.
Okay, letter grades. So we did this at the halfway point of the year, and now we're going to do it at the end of the year because now we have a bigger sample size and we can.
I don't remember what my grades were.
Neither do I. I have no clue.
Okay,
maybe I'll throw them up there. I don't know. But let's start off with one Travis Konechny. Played every single game, 76 points, minus 17. We had 8 power play goals on the year, 24 goals on the season, 52 assists, 76 points. Steve, what grade would you give Travis Konechny?
I give Mr. Konechny a B.
Ooh. Okay.
He had a phenomenal start to the year.
He did?
But unfortunately, he dropped off, and he admittedly got into his own head for a while there.
Post-Four Nations was MIA, right?
Yeah. I mean, not MIA. I mean, he was noticeable. It's just he couldn't find the back of the net for whatever reason. And I think he admitted in his press conference he might have emptied the tank a little bit too early.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully next year he can pace himself for a better 82-game sample than kind of pushing too hard in the first 40 and then being gassed the rest of the way.
Yeah, because if you think about it, 25-26, you've got the Olympic break coming up. So, again, it's going to be another compressed schedule again as we look ahead there. And so it's all over again. Michkov will also have that same thing of that. I would say for Travis Konechny, I would agree. I think he was a solid B grade. I think obviously getting the most points, that's something to sneeze at. Almost a point per game. I think had he scored a little bit more post-Four Nations, I think we would be giving him a higher grade for sure.
I lied. I think I gave him an A in our mid-season report card.
Yeah, we'll look back. Yeah, we'll definitely look back.
He dropped.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just because of that, the grade is a little bit lower. That's not a knock on a player. It's just the fact that, when you go through a dry spell, you got to find a way to get out of it and quickly, and especially considering he is their best player by far. That really hurt the team, essentially. Like their top scorer was not scoring as much as you would have liked. So I think that's a justification for that. Next up is Matvei Michkov. Heralded rookie, 80 games, could have played all 82 had he not been benched by John Tortorella.
Stop it.
He wasn't benched. Stop it, Matt. But he had a tremendous year. Led the team in goals at 26. 63 points, minus 18. 8 power play goals, same along the lines of Travis Konechny. He also had 3 game winners, 3 overtime, or what was it, OTG? That is overtime goals, right? Yeah, overtime goals.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Matvei Michkov. Steve, what grade would you give our rookie phenom here?
I'm gonna say B.
Okay.
He had a great year, as we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But he had stretches where he just kind of fell off. November, pre Four Nations.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's the first time he's playing this many games, and I had forgotten. We talked about before the KHL season is less compressed, fewer games. I forgot he missed a bunch of time last year in the KHL because he had pneumonia or something.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since he's played that many games, and
yeah.
I think he recognizes that. So that prevents it from being an A because he wasn't really consistent all throughout the year. But the flashes he showed are certainly tremendous, and I think he gets a B overall for the season.
Yeah, I am going to be a little bit more charitable. I will give him a B plus. I think there is a reason for optimism, and he is the sole reason for it. I would agree, though, there were some gaps. That's to be expected in your first National Hockey game or Hockey League season. You're going to go through ebbs and flows. But the way that he showed up, the way that he played, the way that he made his teammates better, he was always looking for them, says a lot about him. And the fact that if you listen to him at his breakup press conference, he was not satisfied himself.
Oh, no, not at all.
And I love that. I absolutely love he has that killer instinct, which is like, man alive, this guy's going to be 100, 110, 120 point. If we get that out of him, good Lord Almighty, we're going to be in a lot of just joy watching this kid blossom in front of us. So
the great ones are the ones who put in the extra work.
Yeah.
Even though you think they don't need it, right?
And
so,
you know that he will do that. You know that he'll do that for sure.
Yeah.
Sean Couturier, Captain Sean Couturier, 79 games played. He had 45 points on the year. Ends on a +1, 15 goals, 30 assists. Steve, Sean Couturier had a hat trick early on in October, I remember, against Minnesota. But what did you think of the captain? What letter grade?
I give him a B+.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the few pluses on the team.
Very, yeah.
Which is incredible. He has answered a lot of questions. Last year he started out great, and then the last part of the season he fell off. We learned he was dealing with some more injuries to his core. And that was his first season after missing basically 2 full seasons before that.
Yeah.
So there were questions coming in. Well, can he handle the rigors of an 82 game season anymore? And I think he showed he can, and I think he showed he can play at a very good level. So for what our concerns and expectations were, I think he's satisfied all of those, and a good B+.
I would say B on that for him. Echo a lot of what you just said. Would love to see a little bit more production, probably push him 50. But Sean Couturier is not that player either.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And
well, I'm not expecting him to be 2017, 2018 Sean Couturier.
Right.
But, yeah. Well, okay, 50 points. How about a decent power play? That would get you to 50.
That would get you to 50, right?
Right. So.
Yeah, he's actually, I'm looking at, yeah, you're right. He was a 76-pointer way back 2017-18. He was also +34 in that season. So, and 2019-20, 59 points, but also was a +21. So yeah, it's encouraging to see him come back. And in that regard, I just hope he's not held together by duct tape. That's the only thing I worry about with him in regards to his score.
He was very durable this year.
Yeah, which was very encouraging
about it now than I was earlier.
Yeah, for sure. Tyson Forrester, 81 games played, Steve, and really this is interesting. 43 points. He had a huge scoring trend, as we covered in period 1. He had 5 goals in the last 5 games. Ends the season with 25 goals, but a -9. Forrester, I sing his praises. What do you think of him?
You're going to give him an A+.
I'm not going to give him an A+. Shut up.
I am giving him a B.
Okay.
Because the offensive production just was not there early on in the season. he I'm praying this is not a Morgan Frost, hey, I'm going to pad my stats at the end of the year kind of thing with him. But he did it. He did a nice job with Brink and Cates on that line. They were matched up against the other team's top line many nights. So the offense is going to suffer a little bit in that role.
Mm-hmm.
But he did seem to find his offense down the stretch, and so I give him a B.
Okay. I will give him a B-. That might shock you.
Oh, that does shock me.
And that's only because I know he has a rocket for a shot, and I would want to see him really get into that top 6. I think he has that ability to get into that second line. The question is, how many times can he get his shot off? And that's what I want him to be, a 30 to 35 goal scorer. I can see it. I can see it with his shot. His shot is really, it's lethal. It is an unbelievably fast. It surprises a lot of goaltenders. Mm-hmm. There's that potential there that I can see him getting to 30, maybe pushing 35, that kind of a deal. It's kind of like, I just want to see that he has a tendency to be with a slow start at the beginning of the year, though. And so I would want him, if he could get out of the gates next year and he pots in at like 5 or 6 goals at the beginning of the year, we're off to a good start. That means you could get up to a 30-goal season out of Tyson Forrester. So this is more of a, hey, come on, let's get it going here. Let's not get these 5 goals. Yeah, it's a little motivational. Absolutely. Let's get these goals at the beginning part of the year, get off on the right foot, instead of having to wait until the end of the year where the games don't matter much, and then you're running around and you're not playing any defense, and you're scoring goals left and right. And it's like, that's great. You got a hat trick at MSG. Where was that the early part of the year? So I would want to see that. Just flip it around a little bit. Let's get it going. Speaking of a guy who needs to get it going a little bit, and I think you would agree, Owen Tippett, 77 games. He has 20 goals, 43 points, minus 12. I know you have said on this podcast, drive to the net. What do you think of Owen Tippett there, bud? What grade would you give him?
I give Owen Tippett a C.
Much hesitation on that. Yeah.
Well, I was debating going C minus, but
okay. Yeah.
Because he's one of the ones where I'm like, to get this team going, he needs to be one of those guys who gets to the next level, and he just did not do it this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know he had the injury from the New Jersey game, but he wasn't before the New Jersey game. He also wasn't. I mean, you could see it when he skates. He can fly. He's got size. When he bullies his way to the net, he can get in there and get in tight, get shots. He just needs to do it more.
Yeah. You could see 25, 30 out of him if he does that, right? I mean,
I could see 40 from him if he did that consistently.
Yeah.
I mean, he had close to 30 last year or 2 years. He's been flirting like, oh, you can get to 30. I think he could get to 40 with some more work and some help.
Yeah.
But he's gotta be consistent. He's one of those guys again who he gets noticeable one game and the next game he's totally invisible.
Yeah, 27 and 22-23, 28 goals in 23-24, 20 this year. Now
flirting with 30, and now he's dropped back.
Now I wonder.
But again, he's another one of those guys. He got a functional power play.
Oh yeah,
he had no power play goals.
That's shocking, and to have Owen Tippett with no power play goals, that's crazy.
And he's got a great shot.
He does too.
Like Forster does.
Yeah,
so
got to get him going a little bit, especially offensively. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Bobby Brink, as we move on, our most improved player. Yeah, it was most improved. Bobby Brink. Of course, we talked about it before. 12 goals, 41 points, 79 games played, minus 11. Tremendous year, though, out of Bobby Brink. Most improved. What would you give our most improved player, Steve? What kind of grade would you give him? By the way, I gave Owen Tippett a C. I should also mention that, too. I totally agreed with your sentiment there.
Bobby Brink, I'll give a B.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Bs. But anyway.
There's a lot of Bs. He did great
year.
role, but I think there's more offense to tap into there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think for that reason, B-. Same with Forrester. I would love to see a little bit more out of him. I could see him being north of 15, 16 goals. A dozen goals out of Bobby Brink. There were some plays that were made. I think the one goal against New Jersey, it was like, ooh, wow, look at that talent. Gets open, makes a couple of quick moves, and pots in a power play goal. That was huge. I'd love to see that a little bit more out of him. No,
squeeze more out of that.
Yeah, just kind of a little bit more. Noah Cates, as we move on, 78 games played, 16 goals, 37 points, I should say. 16 goals, 37 points, +3 out of Noah Cates. That's a good sign with a plus. What would you think of Noah Cates' year?
He had a fantastic year. I'll give him an A-.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
He did really well.
Yeah.
He had tough matchups. He had to go up against guys like Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby, and he held his own.
Yeah. Played very well, and he has been a solid NHL player defensively. Looking at his career, he is a +2, as we love to talk about as plus-minus players. He's a +2 forward, which is great in his career. I will say B+ out of him. Noah Cates, I wonder if I would see 20. I wonder if he has that capability to score 20 goals. Just openly, just throwing that out there. I think that would be great. Kind of like a Trent Klatt thing. Could you get a 20 goals, but not like
you might. I don't.
It's not possible.
Slotted in.
Yeah.
If he slotted in the proper role, where we get some higher skilled centers, I don't know that he's going to hit 20, but I mean, maybe.
Ryan Poehling up next, Steve. 68 games, 12 goals. He pots a dozen on the year, but 31 points, -4. Ryan Poehling kind of came on a little bit as of late.
Yeah.
But what do you think of him?
Got some nice hands. I'll give him a B-.
Okay.
Thought he had a decent year.
Yeah.
I missed some time with that unfortunate hit in the New York Islanders game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was a scary hit.
Yeah.
And who knows how much that affected him. But I think he was productive. And again, if he's slotted down low in the lineup where he ought to be, what he gave you this year is decent.
That was a dangerous hit. Now I'm replaying that in my mind of what happened to him, and it was like, oh man, that really was dangerous. I give him a C+. Decent player. You'd slot him into the NHL lineup, bottom three, third line or whatever. You're going to get some good minutes out of him for sure. Travis Sanheim, first defenseman on the board. Steve, we're going to take a look at. Played all the 82 games. 8 goals, 22 assists, 30 points on the year. -6 out of Travis Sanheim. Of course, an award winner. B, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had a great start to the year. He wasn't as noticeable, but sometimes as a defenseman, that's a good thing.
Yeah. He definitely rebounded from last year. He was a -20 last year. He was -6 this year. So on a team that is rebuilding, he is getting better in terms of his plus-minus.
Like to see him get to that offense more consistently.
Mm-hmm.
But, overall, I think he had a good season.
I wonder I openly wondered if he would be willing to be on a power play. I don't see him as a power play guy, though.
No.
I think that's probably more Drysdale, which we'll get to soon. Sanheim, I would probably, you gave him a B. I'd probably give him B-. Good improvement, but I'd like to see a little bit more out of him from the defense pair.
Just taking my grades and just lowering them half a grade. I see how it is.
Yeah, exactly. Garnet Hathaway is next, bud. What I loved about Hathaway, we should mention this too, when he was like pulling in Connor Gauthier to that fight, as you said, unwillingly. That was fantastic. +5 out of Garnet Hathaway. Nice. Missed some time with 10 goals, 21 points. Garnet, what do you think of him there, bud?
I'll give him a B-.
I'll be up on you. I'll say B out of Garnet Hathaway.
All right.
I love B. He's got some stories to talk about. Probably with Nasty Knuckles after that kind of a deal. I can imagine him being there, but I love the way he plays. Gritty, in your face, muck it up, try and draw penalties, all that kind of stuff. I love the way he plays, and the fact that he's a plus player. That's even better, man. That's just even better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's more offense to be gotten out of him.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
And that's why I kind of graded him a little lower, because I think he was provided more last year, but I think he had a decent season. So
yeah, I mean, the highest goal total he ever had was with the Capitals, 21-22. He had 14 goals, and it was a plus 19.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was his career high in goals for Garnet Hathaway. So, I mean, what a great addition to that lineup. Provides that grit. Jamie Drysdale is up next, Steve. I think we have a reclamation project, and his name is Jamie Drysdale. 70 points. Scratch that. Not 70 points. He wouldn't be a reclamation.
70 points would be a hell of a season.
That would be a hell of a season out of a defenseman, and that made my whole thing of reclamation project right out the door. Anyway, 70 games played is what I meant to say. Yeah. 7 goals, 20 points on the year, but a minus 32. A minus 32.
You are so obsessed with the plus minus.
I am.
I give him a C plus. I think something clicked
towards the end of the year,
midway through the season.
Okay.
And carried it through to the end. He's gotten better as the season has gone on.
Okay.
So I think it's happening for him.
Trust in Bradshaw, right? Trust in Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Hopefully
he's here in some capacity next season.
I would love for Bradshaw to be the defense coach. I think that would be tremendous. Because I think you're starting to see that growth out of defensemen.
The trend is up now, and I think he's shown flashes, and I think he will get there. He's just need to keep going.
And for him to only miss a dozen games after a guy that has been labeled as quote unquote injury prone, for him to play 70 games is not bad. Not bad at all.
Well, and that's not all. I don't think, was he injured at all this season, or was that just scratches?
Maybe there might have been a stent. Maybe.
I don't remember.
I don't remember it. No. What grade did you give him, by the way? I'll see if I can go up or down.
C plus.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think I'd give him a C plus too on that. I think the end of the year is more encouraging. I think if he was still like not doing, if he didn't do well, obviously it would be lower. But yeah. Nick Seeler, Mr. Shot Block Man. My God, this guy was getting blocks all over the place.
Oh, God, yeah.
77 games played, 20 points, 3 goals on the year, but a plus 10 by far and away. Best in terms of plus minus. But this guy is an absolute warrior back there, blocking all kinds of shots. I mean, it was absolutely insane. Steve, your thoughts on Nick Seeler's season? He has gotten better and better and better.
He's gotten better, but he's offensively handicapped.
Yes. But that's not his role. His role is to block shots.
It's not his role, but that's the point, is he's playing up in the lineup where he shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly at the end of the season, he's paired him with Sandheim, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I give him a B, because I think he's showed what he can do.
Yeah.
And I think he met expectation.
Yeah. I think it's a solid season. I mean, I admire his tenacity. B plus out of him. I think just the way he was blocking shots. He had that one great play I mentioned, like in the early part of the year against Minnesota, where he blocked the shot, puck went up in the air, he bats the puck into the corner, and then flipped it out of the zone. I thought that was just like, how do you do that? That's just like that. The skill level in that was ridiculous. We have a few more. Risto got hurt towards the end of the year. Unfortunately, 63 games, plus 3, 4 goals, 19 points on the year. But I think overall, he had a really good year, vastly improved in his play.
B minus, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It very much improved, but he's got to get over the injury bug.
Yeah, something again with his arm again, but and that's troubling. Because they paid him a lot of money on the cap space in that regard, so that's kind of like, oh boy, we don't want him getting hurt. Yeah. Cam York, famous for the dust up that he had with Torts in Toronto. We found out later.
Well, I will say this. In the few interviews he's had since then, I think he has handled it very well. And
very
he's
well.
Accepted a lot of
responsibility for it. Yep.
That's a positive in my eyes.
100%.
I think that shows some maturity. Whatever happened, he's certainly said, "Look, I wasn't good enough."
Yeah, exactly.
I give him a C- because he's right. He has not been good enough.
He needs to be much
very
better.
Good last year.
Yeah,
he was very good last year. This year, not so much.
Yeah, he definitely regressed compared to last year. Even though, like, he had 30 points in 82 games last year, and then coming back, I think he was hurt at the beginning, missed some time, came back, and it just seemed like I think him and Torts were just at each other, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And yeah, to your point, he came out of there realizing what he had done. It was like, okay, I know now I'm being punished. I got to take accountability and responsibility for my actions, which he did, which is encouraging. Now it's the step forward. What can you do with that newfound life? And it's huge because he's restricted. I believe he's a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So this is a massive thing here going on. Finally, Igor Zamula. Steve, 63 games, 15 points, minus 14 on Zamula.
Yeah, he gets a D+.
Yeah, I would say D. I think he just zippity doodah. Where are you going with somebody? Come on, you can't be lethargic out there, right? I think he has a big time problem with that a little bit.
He does. It's like he's in slow motion. It really is.
Which I don't quite understand. I don't quite get that. Yeah.
I don't know what he'll become. I mean, he's with the guys coming next year. There's going to be a numbers game, and he's at the edge of it, so he's going to have to up it if he wants to stay with the team.
Could be odd man out. Yeah. And then finally the goalies. Of course, they all. Oh boy, yeah. Sam Ersson, 22, 17, and 5, so winning record on the year, but goals against of 3.14 and a save percentage of 883 on the year. Over the course of his career, it has gone down. He started with 899, went to 890, now at 883. So you're starting to see a regression in terms of save percentage. But he had a winning record, 22, 17, and 5. Your thoughts on Ersson, bud? I know you gave him an incomplete. Now you have a full season.
At the
halfway time.
He hadn't played.
He was hurt.
Because he got hurt a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Now at the end of the season, I think we talked an episode or two, maybe it was the emergency torts episode.
Mm-hmm.
He's not, at this point to me, looking like he can be a number one goalie on the team.
Yeah.
And with what he showed this season, I give him a C-. It just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I was thinking D+, but I think that's a little too harsh. I think the C- grade is fair. His save percentage has got to be better, but I don't know.
There's just stops he has to make.
Yeah.
And
sometimes they weren't there to be made.
Yeah.
Whether it was like an injury or whether he was out of position. Now, is that partly due to the defense pairing that was in front of him at the time, or is that just because he let in a couple of softies?
Well, look.
Talk to me.
Up until Torts got fired,
yeah,
the defense in front of him tended to play pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, they went into Winnipeg, they went into Dallas, they played very good defensive games. I mean, it's not every game, not 82 games they were good defensively,
right?
But a lot of games they were good 5-on-5 defensively.
Mm-hmm.
But there were shots that just would go in, and you're like, you got to have that.
You got to make that save.
That's the problem with Ersson is he's not giving you the saves that you need that are timely.
Yeah.
And
that are backbreakers in a way.
Yeah.
Ivan Fedotov, he had 24 starts, appeared in 26 games, 6-13 and 4. Ended the year very similar to Ersson's stats, 3.15 goals against, within a save percentage of 880. So not only is your backup goaltender essentially equal, he's not even taking that step forward to say I can be a number one. But there were some games too out of Fedotov. His wins looked like, wow, he was saving like 96% of the shots he was faced. But then there were games like Seattle. There were games like, I can't remember. There were a few other games where he looked lost.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention was the disparity.
Yeah, very inconsistent.
Ersson, his good games and bad games are like this season. Fedotov, it was like, as big as my screen.
Yeah.
960 versus like 700 the next day. And you never knew which version you were going to get out of him. Were you going to get Tampa, Winnipeg Feds, or were you going to get Chicago Feds?
Yeah.
Which one were you going to get?
Which one were you going to get?
And it pains me because the guy looks like legitimately a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like he loves the fans, and whenever you hear him like in interviews, he's a very humble and thoughtful guy.
Yeah.
So it pains me because he's like a lovable character.
Been through a lot in his life.
Plus.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's been through hell.
Yeah, literally. Exactly. Yeah,
but I got to give him a D+ because it was not good enough.
Yeah, totally agree. I will give him credit for the beginning part of the year where things looked really, really bad. He did bring, and you could definitely tell he was being coached in the right way. But again, to your point, the consistency just was not there. If anything, he was consistent at being inconsistent, which drives us crazy. Yes. And that's something we need to fix. And then finally, we have Alexei Kolosov, who, I mean, let's face it, the guy was a little bit of a head case heading into the season. Didn't know if he was going to want to play or not, or go home. And then Briere pulled a Liam Neeson and said, "No, you're coming with me." He then ended up playing, spent most of his time down in Lehigh Valley, but the limited time we saw of him, 5-9-1 with a 359 goals against average, save percentage 867. So, your thoughts on Kolosov? I mean, small sample size. I tend to want to give him an incomplete just for the fact that it's a small sample size and he was really kind of like scrambling. He did, I will say, the game against St. Louis was probably his best game, kept the team in it. Shouldn't have given up that goal with like less than 10 seconds left in the third. But
right. I actually give him credit. The Buffalo game, the end of the season, he actually played pretty well.
Pretty well, yeah.
He allowed 4 goals, but they were all like cross ice.
Yeah.
Like no.
Bar down.
I mean, the Buffalo game was ridiculous. Like, dude, all 5 guys are up behind the goal line. They're getting 2-on-0s back the other way all game. Like, what are you guys doing?
Boy, doesn't that sound familiar?
They really let him out to dry in the Buffalo game.
Yeah.
But I think I'm with you. I think it's an incomplete because we just didn't.
Just not enough sample.
Remember, not enough sample, but he was not good.
Yeah. Still needs a little bit of seasoning in there. Probably need a little
and the question is, where's he going to get it? I don't know.
Does he stay with Lehigh Valley? Does he go someplace else? I don't know the answer to that question either there, bud. We shall see.
Balls.
Balls. Just a little inside joke. In any event,
not if you're paying attention in period 1.
Not if you're paying attention in period 1. That's right. But this is our final period of the regular season, Steve, as we wind down our first long season of the Men in Orange and Black, and it was a long season. Steve, the question that I have for you, and I guess for everybody else out there in the Men in Orange and Black land, is where do you think...
Chicken came first.
Oh, thank you. But where do we think the Flyers go from here? It's probably one of the biggest questions this team is now facing, considering it's a losing record, considering that you don't have a number 1 goaltender. But there are some positives. You've got a terrific young talent in Matt Bay. Pair with Konechny and Couturier was a fantastic line. You also have a solid, essentially like a solid third line in your Brain, Cates, and Forrester lines. You saw some growth in defense. And obviously you still need to improve some things on the power play. But the power play took a little bit of a step forward. Not by much. You went from 12 to 15%. Just a little bit. So the question is, with the amount of space the Flyers have in their cap and the number of draft picks that we all know that they have, despite the fact that I think some Flyers fans didn't know that they had 3 draft picks in the first round and 4 in the second and another one in the 5th, they're loaded for bear. What do you think? Where do we think the Flyers go from here? What do you think when you hear that question? And besides, you want to just go, oh my God, I don't want to answer this question. What do you think?
I don't want to answer that question.
That's why I'm not getting paid the millions of dollars, right?
But we're going to try to be sane here.
Yeah.
Stupidity.
That's what we're all about here. What are we thinking here? Where do you think they go?
Well, first things first, we have to settle. We need Colorado and
Edmonton, yep.
To lose now.
Which I think they probably could, looking at their lineup.
God. I mean,
Kings are playing pretty good.
Are playing the Kings, especially at home. They're like record-setting at home.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently.
And then you have Dallas.
Have home ice.
Dallas going against Colorado. And
yeah. Now, Dallas is banged up. There's no Heiskanen. Robertson's a question. So there's.
Yeah, but they do have Mikko Ritten. Yeah.
Yeah, but these are not easy first-round matchups for either team.
No.
And it behooves us for them to lose in the first round because then their picks will stay at, what are they, 24, 25?
Something like that, yeah.
If they get to the conference finals, they get bumped all the way down to like 29 and 30.
Oh,
and if they make the Stanley Cup finals, it's 31 or
32, yeah.
Depending on if they win. So we want them to lose now.
Now, yes.
Get it done.
Please, LA and Dallas, do us a favor.
But there's no way that we're making 7 picks in the first round. There's no way. We're obviously going to make whatever selection we get as our lottery results. But I got to think either one or both of those first round picks are going to get moved, the lower ones.
Yeah.
For either future assets or a player. I don't know who's available, who's out there, what you could be looking at. But you can't, there's no way they're taking 7 players.
I can't imagine that either. I think there has to be a move that Danny is trying to do to acquire the talent of somebody. The question is who? And that's really the biggest one. What do you do in terms of, like, if you look at the lineup is full of young talent, but you could see that if you add a good veteran center, I think that's what's missing behind Couturier.
Well,
this is what we're talking about. Like, what do you think are the biggest needs the Flyers need?
All right,
or
have. Let me back up. I said in the first period I was going to explain this.
That's why I'm asking you to explain it now.
Well, no. I'm going to explain why I don't think they're as far off from getting to the playoffs as it would seem based on where they were last year versus where they ended now.
Okay.
The 2 catalysts, I think, for the downfall of this season were, 1, horrible goaltending. And Danny was careful in his press conference today. He's like, it can't all fall in the goaltending. And he's right. It's true. But when you think about the regression of some of the players here, say in their offensive numbers, I wonder a little bit if those offensive numbers were affected by, we've got shitty goaltending to compete. We're going to have to play tighter defensively, meaning we're going to sacrifice some offense. And I wonder if chicken and egg, did the poor goaltending lead to point regression from some of the players on the team?
Because you're blocking so many shots.
Well, not blocking. You're having to defend way harder now because you can't let shots through because you don't know if your goalie's going to stop them or not. And so you're spending a lot of time in the defensive zone. You're killing a lot of energy by the time you get out and hunting You know, you're at the end of a shift, so you got to dump it and get off. You just don't have the energy. I wonder a little bit about that. But goaltending, I think, because last year, were we in the position we were in to fight for a playoff spot? It was because the goaltending at the beginning of the year was very solid.
You were getting 910, 920 save percentages. Yeah.
You had very good goaltending to start the year. This year you had horrible goaltending, and I think that is a very big reason why they ended where they were versus last year.
Yeah.
And then the second catalyst to the downfall is the power play.
Yeah.
Which improved, but not really.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I think the original point I had when you add a veteran center behind Couturier might just give the kick in the pants to the power play that you need.
Well, my thing with the center is you want a top line center, a highly skilled center.
Yeah.
That's going to grow with the team. When you say veteran center, I worry that you're thinking like a 31, 32-year-old guy who's been around the block. Yeah. And that's not what that's not what we're the top center I want.
Right. I agree. I think it's probably something like if you could find that 27, 28-year-old center. That's what I mean by veteran. Kind of somebody that's been in the league, but you could see like the upward talent. Like he's been an established talent, whatever the case may be. I would agree, though. I'm with you in regards to 30. We don't need a 31-year-old, 32-year-old because of the injuries.
Well,
risk of injury.
I'd rather get guys who are lower 20s at this point.
Okay.
And so they can be together as we kind of
and you keep building that young core up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at 27, 28, that's starting to get to the age where now you're overspending.
Yeah.
Right. And I would, whether you have to do an offer sheet, overspending, but you're overspending on somebody younger. Whether you have to do an offer sheet, whether you have to swing a trade with maybe both of your lower first round picks to pry somebody out of somewhere, or if you just have to bite the bullet and draft them and you hope they can get here sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
not going to sit well with this fan base, though.
Well, yeah, but you can't go out. This isn't the late 90s. You can't just, this guy's unrestricted free agent. I'm going to throw $40 million at him.
I totally with you. Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't work
like that. It just doesn't work like that.
You got to build it.
Make sure it's there.
That's the harder part of this to fix.
Yeah.
And maybe who we get with our top first round pick can help fix that quickly. You hope.
Yeah. You hit on that, you got a chance. Yep.
The goaltender is where I'm more willing to say, go out and try and find he can be 32. As long as he's giving you at least average, consistent goaltending.
That makes me wonder about one player.
Oh, God.
John Gibson. We talked about him before. Back in No?
No.
No?
No.
Do you think it's just because you think he is way too I'm not looking for John Gibson, the American actor, by the way. Gibson is
use hockey reference instead of Google.
Right, exactly.
No.
John Gibson is 31.
Wow, he's that young.
He is that young. Now, he's been in the league for a long time. He's been in the league really since 2013. So he's been around the block.
He didn't look all that good when he was here in January.
He did not.
Say that much.
No, he did not. But it makes you wonder if you have him behind the net, you got a competent NHL goaltender. Career stats, I'm pulling it up here. Let's see.
Well, I'm not so concerned about career as I am.
He had he had
this year.
Okay, he only played in 29 games this year. He was 11-11-2. Save percentage of 9-12, 273 goals against, but it makes me wonder. See, and that's the other thing too. 2 years ago, he was giving up 4 goals a game.
Well, he's been playing on a shitty Anaheim team.
That's true.
It's tough to hold that against him. But
his save percentages are pretty consistent. 917, this is a few years ago. Then 904, 903, 904, 899, 888, and 9-12 before whatever happened in 24-25. If he was not playing or whatnot.
Well, what's his contract situation? I don't recall
That I don't know.
Hearing he's in the UFA.
Yeah.
I know there had been talk about, hey, could you trade for John Gibson because Anaheim was, but I mean, if he's going to give you 900, okay, fine, and you sign him for 1 or 2 years. You know,
I don't know if that gets you into the playoffs though. If you sign a
900 goalie gets you close.
That gets you close, yeah.
That gets you close enough, I think.
And you have to have an improved power play in order to get there.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to have a power play in the 20s. And right now it's like, I would say, like, argue you would have to be in 20, operating a 20% power play just to have a sniff of the postseason.
Well, I don't know. They were 12% last year and they had a sniff.
That's true. That's only because they played great defense and they had a great goaltender, to your point. Well, back then. Before the shit hit the fan. But
a 900, I'd even take like 895. A goalie who can consistently give you that gets you a step. It buys you the time.
Yeah, it buys you time
to build. It gives you some wins. It gets you feeling confident about the team direction. That is, I think, a goaltender is the number one thing to look for.
I would agree. I think that's got to be problem number one that has to be solved is the situation of goaltender. Again.
Now, I'm not, but I'm not, this is not a situation where you're going to go out and throw $40 million at Brizgalov for 11
no,
years.
absolutely not.
Right? This is a stop. I'm looking for a stopgap solution just to keep you in games so that you have, as you said, a NHL goalie on your roster who is a known commodity.
Yeah.
And then you can have Ersson and Fedotov and maybe Kolosov fighting for that backup spot. See what they can give you there.
I like Sam.
You have to.
I was just going to say, I like Sam Ersson, but as a backup goaltender, his stats would be perfect for backup. His stats are not consistent with starting goaltending. They're just not.
His best stats came when he was backing up.
When he was a backup. Yeah.
That's just the bottom line.
That's just the bottom line. And he has regressed in his save percentage. I have to point that, I keep pointing that out, but it's true. If you look at his stats, they keep going down in terms of save percentages. GAA to me doesn't really matter anything.
No.
It's all about the save percentage. If you could stop 90% of your shots, you got a shot. You have at least a fighting chance to get in the postseason, which everybody wants to get into.
And it's not just the save percentage though. By the eye test, you could see he was not as good as he was last year.
Absolutely, yeah, and he's been fighting the injury bug throughout his career as well. We have to take that into consideration.
Also very true.
Yeah, I mean that's just the bottom line with that.
Stopgap goalie to kind of take you into meaningful games.
Yeah,
is number one. Number two, right behind that, is to figure out who's going to run your power play. Whether that's an internal solution or whether you have to bring somebody in. I think we talked about this again before.
Yeah.
When you look back to when we had good power plays, it was Goss Despair. It was Mark Straight because he was actually pretty good at running a power play.
Yeah.
It was Chris Pronger. It was Eric Desjardins.
Yeah.
Kimmo Timonen.
Yeah.
Those dudes knew how to run a power play point.
Yeah.
We haven't really had a guy, and I mean, 5 forwards, you can't do that. You just can't stick with that.
And I love what Briere said in regards to, well, okay, we're throwing everything at the kitchen sink, and that seemed to work. And I'm thinking to myself, Danny, you're saying that because you were a former forward and you love being on the power play. Calm down. You need a quarterback. You need that power play quarterback out there. And maybe Drysdale's that answer. Maybe. We don't know that. Yeah.
But he needs to work on it.
Absolutely.
And you need to figure that out. The 5 forward thing, it might have led to a little bit more offense, but you also had a shit ton of shorthanded chances against once you started with that 5 forward line.
Yeah, exactly.
But the dude from Buffalo had like 2 by himself on 2 separate power plays when they had 5 forwards out there. It's not a permanent solution. You need a solid quarterback.
Yeah.
And that needs to be figured out. Again, maybe it's a stopgap while you work with Jamie Drysdale to work through his issues and get him up to speed.
Yeah.
He should be.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely number one. Stop. I think you're right. Stopgap goaltender would be great until you locate that number one guy.
Well, the hope would be
head coach. Obviously,
I mean, at this point, Ersson and Fedotov are not going to be your goaltenders of the future. It just seems that way. What the hope is, Bjarnason or Zavragin, one of those two, in 2 or 3 years, is here and is like, hey, I'm a 940 goalie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm one of the best goalies in the world. Can you imagine JJ coming up with that call? My God. And then, of course, like you got to find out the head coach. And, obviously we don't have one at the moment. We have an interim in Brad Shaw, but, all indications are they haven't even created a list yet. And by the time this, we'll see what happens over the course of the next couple of months to figure out who that would be. It's hard to handicap who would be, rumor is, and in fact was confirmed, Peter Laviolette got fired by the Rangers. Now, wouldn't that be something if he came back?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him back either. Yeah, it's very rare that a coach, for the people that don't know hockey or don't follow it, it is very rare for a coach to ever come back to an organization. Once they're gone, they're gone. That kind of a deal.
They roughed it, though.
Well, that's Buffalo, and I'm not here talking about the Buffalo.
I know, it's Buffalo. They do silly things.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Not him. Yeah. Culture is so important to this team.
Oh, yeah.
And watch, just look at what happened at Madison Square Garden.
Absolutely.
We do not need that coming back.
No, we don't need that. No. Yeah. So, yeah, we don't need any of that drama that went up there in MSG for sure. So, I mean, it's hard for us to handicap as fans of the Flyers because it's like, well, we just don't know who's the hot coaching commodity. And
we know who the hot coaching commodities are, but we've talked a little bit. I mean, David Carl from the University of Denver. Yeah. But why would he leave?
Right.
He's got a cushy job.
Yeah.
The name that has
I've heard Quenneville, and I'm thinking there is no
way. No way.
There is no way that they're ever going to touch that toxic masculine guy. Come on, give me a break with that guy.
He's radioactive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely radioactive.
Yeah.
The new name that resurfaced since the NCAA tournament was Pat, I forget his name, Ferschweiler.
Okay.
The coach at University of Western Michigan.
Won the national title, I think. Yeah.
Won the national title.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, won the national title with Flyers prospect Alex Bump on the squad.
There you go.
And he was apparently Keith Jones's line mate when Jonesy was at the University of Western Michigan.
Wouldn't that be something? My God.
That would be something. Now, a lot of people who are idiots would just be like, oh, it's just, they're going to hire him because he's Jonesy's ex-line mate. It's going to be Dave Haxtell all over again. It's like, except this guy just won a national title.
Yeah.
At a school where national titles never happen.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Plus, he was on the Detroit Red Wings bench as an assistant coach for a few years. So he's got NHL experience.
Guy can win.
2.0.
Yeah, guy can win there a little bit, I would think. If he's playing out of Detroit.
So that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
Now we're talking out of our ass because who knows, maybe he's got a cushy job at Western Michigan. He doesn't live there either. The college guys, if you're set for life, man, why go to an NHL
job? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why go through that scrutiny?
I would be, honestly, if Brad Shaw was the hire.
Would you be fine with that?
I'm okay with that.
It'd be 80s hockey most nights. I mean, you're going to go 8-6.
No. You cannot blame him.
No, of course not.
This.
No, of course not.
He had no practice time.
Just wing it, boys.
Yeah, right.
Go out there and wing it. What the hell?
I don't think that would be his approach.
I don't think that would be his approach either. Yeah.
But given his track record with the improvements he's made on the defensive side with guys like Drysdale, guys like Ristolainen, guys like Sanheim, I would not mind if he was named the head coach. I would love him to stay in some capacity, either as head coach or as going back to defense as an assistant. But if he ends up being the hire, I'm not going to complain.
He was 5-3-1 in his 9 games with us. 5-3-1.
I'm not basing any decisions on that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that says something a little bit, I think.
I actually don't think it means anything.
You don't think? Okay, all right.
No,
I'm just throwing it out there for 5 cents. Just bink.
What you can take from this 9-game sample size I think, is how he handled things
Yeah.
on the bench.
Yep.
The way he communicated with the players, the way he handled off ice issues, questions, and that to me is more important than what his record was or how the team played ultimately, because I think they were just playing crappy teams. They forgot to play defense, and he had no practice time to implement any changes he would have wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
No
I'm not
training camp, none of that
anything-
stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No. But what we do have is a solid 3-year record of him with this team, working with certain players and getting more out of it.
And they seem to have responded to him, especially on the defensive side. You're right.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think the way the structure that they have played with has been solid, and it has definitely been an improvement over the last couple of years for sure. When the shit was really hitting the fan with Fletcher, and under his regime and a whole bit. So clearly that's been a good hire defensively, and they seem to have responded to him, which is all you can ask for, which is great. So yeah, a lot of questions. Okay, let's leave with this. The media loves to be able to hype this up, Steve. You know this, living in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia suburbs.
Yeah.
This is the most important offseason in the history of the Flyers. If they don't get this right, oh my God, this rebuild's going to be like Buffalo all over again. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not, first of all, it's not going to be like Buffalo. There's too many, like our talent, I think, in our system is far better than what's going on up in Buffalo. Buffalo, what they're doing is they're just grabbing number 1 picks and they're just sticking them in the lineup. There's no training going on up there whatsoever. And they're running around and
that's not talent.
Well,
I would disagree. I think Buffalo actually has a fair amount of talent. But I agree with what you just said. I don't think they're getting the right
there's no system.
Training. There's no system
that's
to
what
develop them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Just, hey, boys, go out there.
Just go out there and play, and what the hell, right? They've been in the basement of the Atlantic Division forever, never sniffing the playoffs ever again, basically. And people are up there are kind of going like, well, what the hell? Are we ever going to see the playoffs? The answer is no. You don't have you're doing a full structure rebuild over there, basically. A whole top to bottom rebuild. And that's in the front office. I do think there is a plan. The question is, Briere has played his cards very close to his chest. He is not going to tell.
As he should.
Right.
As he should.
Right. That is his internal knowledge. That is not for us to know. The idea for us is what he has done to clean up the mess that has been happening over the last couple of years prior, and even prior to that. We keep going back, and you're right. Keep going back to the Hextall regime. That's where everything kind of started to fall apart.
Oh, yeah.
Fletcher just accelerated the destruction of it, basically, by being a dick. And that kind of
Hextall left us a mess, and Fletcher flew in and was like,
and then had no answer for what was going on. Basically,
trades are hard.
Trades are hard. Yeah, we'll do an aggressive retool, whatever the hell that meant. What were we talking about here? Anyway, but it's like, I don't think, I'm not buying this media narrative that this is the most important rebuild in the Flyer, and like this is the most important time, like right now. Like you got to hit the number.
Important.
It's important. Yes, but it's
you
not.
You have to get the pick right.
Yep.
And you have to make a good coaching hire.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go, hey, you coached my son in college, so hey,
come on in. Yeah, exactly.
You can't do that.
No.
Okay. You got to hire
those pieces are important. Yeah.
You got to make the pick right. You got to make the best use out of the assets you have this offseason as you can.
Yeah.
But it's really going to be an accumulation of, I think, this offseason and the offseason after it that will determine how close we are to actually being a cup contender.
Mm-hmm.
I think this offseason is important to getting us the next step to where we can get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And start getting these guys into games that actually mean something important.
Yeah. Where March means something. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important, and you can't screw it up.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's not, the be all end all of whatever.
It's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Yeah, that kind of a deal. So, Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do. And of course, my good buddy Steve and I, will be here to document that. We'll talk over the draft. And yeah, we'll talk over any trades that happen. And hell, we might even do a July free agency period. Maybe there might be a free agent that comes in that signs for X numbers of dollars and gets the team all fired up. You just never know what's going to happen. But we hope you enjoyed this very first season of the Men in Orange and Black. It's been our pleasure bringing this podcast to you. It's been a lot of fun, bud. I mean, to cover this entire year with you, it's been something we talked about way back, and I think it was July of last year we were talking about this and thinking like, okay, well, what's the logo of the podcast going to be like, and what are we going to talk about, all that kind of stuff. And to be able to cover this from a fan's perspective has been great. Gotten some really nice subscriber increases, all that kind of stuff. Sane fans perspective, exactly. And who knows, maybe for year 2, Steve, maybe you'll host. We'll see. We'll do a rock, paper, scissors maybe at the end of that. Who knows? But it's been a blast. We hope you enjoyed it. It's been our pleasure to bring this to you, and we're looking forward, of course, to what the Flyers do in the offseason. We're not going to cover Stanley Cup playoffs. The hell with it. They're not there. Screw them. But
Florida.
I was just going to say I was going to say with a pick. I'm actually rooting for Winnipeg. I don't know why. I think it's just because I like their color scheme. I don't know. It's just the light blue. I don't know. What the hell? Some President's Trophy winner has to win it. They can't just have that stupid trophy, even though it's like a curse. I don't know, but
I just like Florida because it's Florida.
Yeah,
it's fun. My son likes the team, so yeah.
They got to go back to that old school Panther logo, though.
Look. They are probably the closest to like the late '90s Flyers style of play. Just like beat the shit out of people, kind of hockey. I love that.
Yeah. So, they just bring it every single night. They're a good team. They're a fun team to watch. Yeah, they're a fun team to watch. Yeah, we'll see what happens there in playoffs. But yeah, we will come back with the Emerging Podcast over the summer. But our plan is, of course, we'll do a whole season 2 for 25-26. We'll go over what we did before, and it'll be a lot of fun. So, Steve, do you have anything final to say before we sign off for the year? What do you think? Any final thoughts?
Let's go, Danny.
Yeah. Let's go, Danny.
Yeah.
And
you're on the clock now, bud.
Yeah, exactly. You're all on the clock, bud. We're rooting for you. So, for Steve, I'm Matt. Let's go, Flyers.